Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unlocked, episode 346. Today, I am joined by Jon Ryan.
Hello.
Brandin Tyrell.
Hi.
And Destin Legary.
Hey, everybody.
What's up? Today, we are talking about our impressions of State of Decay 2. The review comes up tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Rage 2 finally got a trailer. We have a bunch of Red Dead impressions because JR here has actually played it.
Oh, I've super not played it.
News. Oh, you've seen gameplay of it.
I watched somebody else play it.
That counts.
I mean, sure, yeah.
It's the closest anyone's been.
I just wanted to head that right off from the pass.
You have
So
not
nobody out there at
physically
home is
touched
just
the
like,
controller.
what?
Gene Simon listens
Look at
to the
these
show.
hands.
Oh, there's 100% like a sniper's reticle, like right at the back of
I love
my
the idea. You're like, look at these hands. They've done it.
They have not touched this.
I'll never watch
but
them.
why don't we start with State of Decay 2? Have you played it?
I have not.
Okay,
no,
the rest of us has jumped right into it. What do you guys think?
Right in.
Let's see.
I mean, we're still under embargo. The review embargo isn't up until
Midnight.
so it'll be up by the time you're listening to this. But as of this recording, it's not up yet. So, actually, that's a good point.
No scores, purchase recommendations, or assessments.
Yeah, so we're allowed to talk about what we think of the game, but we can't give like any indication of a recommendation, which is odd. But the review will be up tomorrow. Dan Stapleton's on that.
The game has inventory management, and you search for things.
I think we're allowed to talk about it in a positive or negative connotation. It's just we have to. Like,
I love how we came in here guns blazing. It's like, all right, the big State of Decay episode, and we're all like, wait, can we say
Are we
that?
gonna get in trouble for this? No, we're fine. I've played about 5 hours, and I really like it. Not telling anyone to purchase it because I'm not allowed to do that. No, I really like it. The one thing that I really want to point out to people is that this is like a board game as a video game. Like a lot like a board game. And that
Because
a lot
of the buildings, you mean?
I mean, we all played the original, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, not the buildings, the way that things are structured.
It's a systemic-based game. It's a bunch of systems all added together, and then those systems sort of drive the world. It's not what you would think of a traditional like narrative like sort of game.
Right.
It's Undead Labs has created a AI system and a survivor system and a shelter system, and then all these systems work together to create a world in which you survive in. So it does really feel like more like a strategy game or a tactics game.
Yeah, and it feels like some of the instances that happen would be things that would appear as cards. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, a conflict has happened with a neighbor. What are you going to do? Like spend these resources to help them or not? So I keep thinking about it like it's a board game. It's not Dead Rising. It's not going to be that.
No.
And I don't think anyone really expected that, but it's a lot more methodical than I thought. And one of the issues we've had when streaming it is people were like, this looks boring. And it's like, well, because you're seeing what we're
You're not
doing.
invested.
Yeah, you're not thinking about it because when you're playing it, you're constantly thinking about like, what supplies do I need to get?
Exactly.
What am I going to spend on
How
this?
much do I already have on me? How much can I afford to like X, Y, and Z to put down before I can pick up this?
So that's one of the big. Sorry to not cut you off. That's one of the big obstacles for this game. I'm just gonna do it anyway. No.
Sorry, that was really good.
No, that's one of the big obstacles in this game. Is like we've previewed it 3 or 4 times now, and we did an IGN first on it, so we've shared a lot of information about it. But it's really hard in a 10-minute gameplay chunk to sort of convey the feeling that this thing that I'm doing right now, I'm going to a pizza shop and I'm looking for food, and you're like, all right, well, you're just going to a pizza shop. That's kind of boring. It's like, but you don't understand. People are starving at home. Like I've played the game about 12 to 15 hours now, and I put a lot of work into this shelter. I know these survivors, and I know my community, and
I call them all by name.
yeah,
You're like, oh no, Elon needs help.
Yeah.
Like, Elon Musk is not one of my survivors, but Elon was the first
Evan-
name I thought of.
Does he need help though? He's fine.
He's probably fine.
He's fine.
it's like Evan's been kind of a dill hole for the last 2 weeks, and I'm at this point where I'm like, Evan, one more and you're done.
Oh, Gary really needs to take a nap. He's
Seriously?
been awake for 2 days.
And I'm like, that guy's really sick. I should shoot him.
Yeah,
There is always that.
I mean, that's actually a thing that I find really interesting is like when that resource management starts getting more intense is that you can just kill your survivors. You can be like, you know what?
Euthanize.
I'm getting rid of you. You're not that helpful. It's difficult for everyone else here.
Oh, dude,
not.
I found this pair of ladies who were like hiding out in a house, and I'm like, hey, you should come join me. And I bring them in. Ostensibly, they're great because they both are great at fighting and great at shooting. They both pick fights with everyone and each other, and like they're super irritable. And like literally, it's a stat: irritable. Other people do not like them, and I'm like, I've made a huge mistake, and I immediately exiled them, and I'm just waiting for them to come back and like raid our house one night.
Oh yeah.
They have like battle armor on.
Yeah,
I
seriously.
didn't even know
raid
you
your
could
face.
exile people.
Yeah, you can kick them out. So like what you do is you go to them in the community screen and you're like, exile the survivor. And I was like, wow, that was painless. And then it's like, great, they've been marked for exile. Now you have to go tell them in person. and you're just like, oh.
I wonder how much of it's scripted, because I mean, there is a lot of dialogue in the game. That's one thing that I think is actually not great about it, is the voice acting's not great, and it's also
it's hit or miss. Yeah,
there's pauses in between, like 2-second pauses in between every sentence, and it's like someone.
Hey,
will
what
say,
are you doing?
My brother is dying. You must help me. And I'm like, what? What?
I haven't noticed too much of that, but there are definitely like some of the delivery of the lines. It's hit or miss. It's up or down.
Yeah, so that makes me think there's probably a lot of dialogue for all of those instances. So it couldn't be, the quality couldn't be that high.
Yeah, there's a ton of dialogue.
I actually, like, even the stories of the characters individually, I got pretty invested in, because again, like a board game, it's like you being like, well, this is my attachment to this character. This is why I care about them. As the starting characters, I picked the brother and sister.
Yeah, okay.
They're like estranged, and they have this thing where like when he's annoyed at her, he'll make a dig that's like, oh, you weren't there for mom when she needed you and she was sick and you didn't come home. And it's like, ooh, drama.
Yeah.
It's like I just get really excited about all of that. Yeah.
I just like the first one had me just get so invested in the people I was playing as. Like who the first guy that you started at? Marcus.
Yeah.
I played with him for so long, and then like, because I wasn't paying attention, he just got literally torn in half one day, and it was heartbreaking,
dude.
Because of the permadeath, right?
Yeah,
like it's really stressful.
Once you lose a survivor, that's it. So like you put 8 hours into a survivor, and he's a bona fide badass. Exactly what happened with me and Marcus in the first game. I got to the end of the game, and I climbed a tower, and I'm aiming down my gun to like mark targets, around.
Yeah.
And then I just stepped backwards, and because I'm aiming, the ladder didn't connect, so he just fell.
Oh no!
And died right at the end of the game. And I'm just like, I was shell shocked, but like those
that's
those
a
kind of
cool
things
thing
happen.
that could happen in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm sniping these zombies, and then I just take a step
Whoopsies.
back.
How
and
did he
fall down
die?
a
He
ladder.
fell down a ladder.
And it's not like you can just
idiot.
it's not like you can just reload either, because this game is constantly saving. So like your actions have consequences.
Yeah.
Which is
Mid-fall,
one of the
you gotta hit
taglines.
pause.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Just diving for the power cord on my Xbox.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, and I think I like that intensity a lot. And basically, anyone who likes managing things in a video game, I think will really enjoy it. But I have to say, the first game was pretty buggy. I think this one's also still pretty buggy. Probably less so.
This one is also buggy.
But I have a lot of zombies falling from the sky.
Yeah, so that's the thing too. I'm noticing.
It's a good one.
Well, it is actually fun.
Right.
Like when it does happen, I'm like, oh, hey, buddy.
There's just planes up in the sky that are dropping zombies.
I played today before the show, and there was like a 6 gig patch, so maybe they've addressed some of those concerns.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out until next week, so I imagine a lot of it is being addressed. And there are issues with the PC version specifically where I was playing with Duggan earlier this week, and he couldn't get out of crouch, so he was just stuck crouching whenever he would go into stealth. I didn't have any of those problems on Xbox. So.
Maybe he just really likes crouching.
Yeah.
No, it was definitely a bug. He did not seem to
I know
enjoy
Duggan.
have either of you played it co-op?
Yes. So Ryan and I played a bunch of co-op in preview, but I have also played a bunch of co-op with Dan for his review. Co-op is good. It feels like it is the less stable of the two modes. It definitely has some weird kinks with regard to like how with regard to how you interact with each other. For example, some characters, like I got in a car with Dan and couldn't open any of my doors.
Oh, that means you can't do the door open zombie kill thing.
And I think what happened is because I got in the driver's seat and Dan's like, I want to drive. And I was like, okay. So I moved over to the passenger seat, and then just none of the doors I could open. I can open the driver door, but none of the other doors.
He had the child locks on.
Yeah,
Classic
probably.
Dan. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, he did just
makes
have a
total
kid.
sense.
He did.
No,
but it's
thinking about safety.
It's stuff like that. It's like none of the bugs I'm encountering are game breaking or fun ruining or any other hyphenated adjective you want to use.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, but by then I had killed so many zombies with doors. It's just there's a lot of them, you know, and it does feel like
it's
the
a lot
longer
of minor bugs, and they do have things in place. It's one of the things where you can like use your radio to spawn you to a different location if you get stuck between two things, and that sometimes is a little bit weird when you're searching through environments for whatever it is that you need. The way that some of the furniture is placed, you can sometimes be like,
Oh yeah.
It's like
I got stuck in a rock the other day, so
yeah. That can be a little odd, but they do have a lot of systems to fix that stuff.
Yeah, again, none of it is game breaking. It's not going to ruin your experience or anything, but there are just a lot of bugs, you know, and they're minor. Sometimes the door looks like it's open, but it's actually closed, so you have to like close the door and then reopen, like close the closed door and then reopen it.
Yeah.
And it's right. I think Ryan coined it really well. He said the first game had this like sort of lovable jank to it, and like some of that has transitioned over. It is much better looking. It runs much better. I mean, full disclosure, I've been playing on a 1X almost exclusively, so I'm not sure how it looks on a 1 just yet.
I think the game looks fine. I don't think it looks fantastic, but I also don't care because, again, I'm thinking about this as like a management or simulator more so than I am as like a shooter.
I
Yeah.
actually really enjoyed the short amount of time that I play with it because, like, you guys are talking about being invested in the characters that you're trying to protect and, like,
I like it a lot.
why you want to protect them. And every time I go out and I get a mission, I'm like, well, I should get this back to base, but I really want to upgrade my backpack, so I can't wait till I figure out how to do that.
I think the amount of stuff that you have to do is very addictive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also, as you keep playing and you learn more systems, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, if I get a better car, I can fit more loot in the back of my car.
Cargo
And I
vans,
park
guys.
my car,
Cargo
and then
vans.
all of my loot automatically gets transported into my like safe
Yeah.
space. And it's like, it's just, all of that is really smart. I can't say the sentence I was going to say because it would break embargo rules. But this is a video game that I enjoy. And
Personally.
I can't tell you if you would because that's against the rules.
Yeah.
I having not played it, think similarly, I guess.
Excellent.
Well, the first one I liked a lot.
Yeah.
So I will probably play the second one.
I'm really enjoying it. I've been playing it almost entirely solo. Co-op is fun.
How does it work? How do
So-
you pull someone into it?
So there's a host player and a host world. So essentially, you have a game, and you're like, "Hey, Brandon, come help me out." And I'm like, "Okay, Alanah." So I jump into your game. Now everything that I do in your world is persistent to you. So nothing like
So you don't take any resources.
no. So your supply locker is yours. When I load into your world and I go to your supply locker, it's all my stuff from my supply locker. So I can't like steal stuff from you.
Cool.
So what's the benefit of you coming into my world then?
So I can help you. I can help you kill plague hearts. I can help you complete quests.
But you don't get anything for
You
it?
do. So any experience that you gain in your skills,
Influence?
influence, or experience in your actual skills, like your shooting and your fighting and whatnot, all of that stuff is stays.
Okay.
And anything you have in your inventory when you leave also stays. So if I find a sweet scar in your game, I now have that sweet scar in my game. And then when you leave, depending on how much you contributed to your game, I go back to my HQ and it's like, hey, thanks for playing multiplayer. Because of your actions, you're given this. And it's usually a hefty chunk of influence. I think playing with Dan for 2.5 hours, I got 1,500 influence, which is
Oh, wow.
a sizable amount. Yeah. And then I got like some seeds and a box of pills and
Pills here.
a silencer. So it's like the stuff I got from the rewards wasn't really worth it, but the influence that I got was huge. And helping Dan, who's a good friend of ours.
Well, that's the thing is, if you imagine a bunch of kids playing this game, aren't there just going to be fights about whose world they go to?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, aren't they going to be like, no, you come to mine, and then no one's just going to do anything?
I was pleasantly surprised, like how much you actually gain after helping other people. I mean, anything I find in your world, I did. Like I grabbed a bunch of gas from just around his base and like put it in my inventory and I was like, see you later, because I was short on gas in my world. I will say, like, delivering rucksacks full of materials, you just basically donate that to the host player, and then that filters into factors into how much reward you get when you go home.
Gotcha. And should we mention, influence is basically what you need to
do just about anything.
Mostly
Make
what I
people
use it
happy.
for is like you save influence up and then you use it to buy outposts, kind of. So basically a lot of the structures you see in the world can be purchasable and you can make them like your own property that you've claimed them. The zombies can't get inside of them, and that costs influence. So it's a currency that's also to do with your social standing amongst the other survivors. You can turn people into like heroes if you play with them a lot. So it depends on who you favor, and this kind of social structure builds itself up. So
It's kind of, you need it to do just about everything. So it really is like the driving force behind the game. I find myself just like looting stuff and then going and selling it to other enclaves, which are other groups of people in the world. Because
I kept making Fallout references too. I'm like, oh, where's the Brotherhood of Steel at? You got that?
they're just like, great joke. Here, what do you have? Selling stuff to enclaves seems to be like one of the best ways that I found to get influence.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you get influence for like killing zombies.
Well, that's
and
why I mostly would
destroying
avoid the zombies,
infestations.
because they're easy enough to avoid unless one of them like sees me and chases me. But I started killing them for the influence, and it's also getting headshots in this game is a lot of fun because
It's satisfying.
it definitely makes it easy for you to get them. Like aim vaguely in the head region and you're gonna get a headshot. Like it's pretty easy, but because of that, it's like reliable and it's fun to do. It's just like that explosion is very exciting.
I had a feral like creepy crawl around a building, and I was in the middle of nowhere, low on stamina. He just surprised me, and I was like, "Oh crap! Like I'm gonna die." And I had this revolver on, and I just went, "Oh!" like this, and the first bullet hit him in the head and killed him. And I was just like, "That was really gratifying."
Yeah.
I just pulled myself out of a bad situation just by dumb luck.
I actually had zombies infest my safe house. I think because I left the gate open.
No, they periodically attack.
They
so like
do.
the more hustle and bustle you have going on at your base, like if you have a workshop, that's making noise. If you have a generator, that's
Makes
making
sense.
noise.
Cool.
The more people you have at your house, that's making noise, and then it builds up this threat meter. And once it hits red or whatever, the attacks happen like every X minutes, right? So you have to fend them off.
I didn't
It's
realize
not generally hard to defend your base, though.
I don't think the game's hard, really.
Does it still do that thing that they did in the first one where the layout of your base is a colossal waste of space most of the time?
What do you mean?
Well, so like the biggest one that you could get in the first game was like the auto parts warehouse.
Yeah.
And you could use like a third of the space in there for actual functional parts.
Yeah.
I mean, the aesthetic of the base is definitely the aesthetic. There are like, this base has 9 plots for you to use, you know?
So that's the thing where it's like, I mean, that's fine, like have the plots, but also like let me just like push that crane that I'll never ever use out of the way and put some couches there.
Yeah, actually,
Like
since
a
I started
library.
playing, they keep telling me to clean up clutter. They're like, if you clean up clutter, it will increase your morale. And I'm like, I'm not cleaning during a zombie
No,
apocalypse.
I'm going out getting
Oh.
food
I'm
and
leaving the
saving
clutter right
everybody.
here. How
Yeah.
dare you?
Oh no, that's if you like one of your plots in the backyard is just full of trash or
I think it
something,
is.
and they're like, "Hey, clean this up, and you can build whatever you want here."
I haven't needed
like,
to build that much
I ain't got
yet.
time for that.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you
like,
designate a
I got stuff
Charlie?
to do, man. I'm
What's
doing
that?
it.
Can you designate a Charlie and just have one of your base members just like be the janitor?
No, you have to do it all
So,
yourself.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we can talk about it a little bit more next week as well. I'm actually not going to be here, but Ryan will be back. He's at Judges Week.
He is at
right
Judges
now,
Week.
So
We
playing
miss
Fun.
unannounced video games. Speaking of exclusives, though, I did want to throw. This is going to be weird for the audio version, but I did want to throw to this insane unboxing that Brandin and I did.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just going to chuck this into the video version. So if you're listening on an audio format, I don't need to say that to the camera. It'll be on youtube.com/IGN Unlocked, where we basically got, as part of the Sea of Thieves partnership with Chips Ahoy, this giant
Because
chest that's full of just the strangest combination of things, including limited edition Xbox One controllers that are blue and have a Chips Ahoy logo.
So the real question is, are there any of those left?
They're all
Can I
still
have
here.
several?
No, you
I
can
have
have the
one?
Chips Ahoy, but
There were cookies.
We
Okay.
both did eat some cookies yesterday, and then we looked at
I
how many
definitely-
calories they were, and we're like,
I definitely
oh, that's a lot.
I unboxed those cookies immediately.
yeah, you really did. You went right for it. But
but yeah, we just got this big wooden chest. It looked like a Castaway chest from Sea of Thieves, and it was full of all kinds of weird, all kinds of like Sea of Thieves swag to like put a crew together.
Right.
4 different V-Moda headsets, 4 controllers, 4 copies of the game, 4
and the
Xbox Live
captain
codes.
headset specifically has like it's engraved, whereas
Yeah.
the others aren't. Like it's like it says captain as
And one of them,
on it.
and they have
Pretty
these,
legit.
they have these gold plates. The headsets have these gold plates, and one of them has the Sea of Thieves skull, and the other one just has a Chips Ahoy logo on it. And I think the partnership there is Chips Ahoy, like Ships Ahoy.
pirate stuff.
No, boo.
Right?
If that's what the line is, then boo.
Yeah, so we'll play that video right now so you guys can actually see everything that's in there. Hey everyone, welcome to IGN. I'm Alanah. This is Brandin.
Hello.
And this is a giant chest that has Chips Ahoy and Sea of Thieves engraved on the front. We've actually zoomed out so that you can see the scale of this ridiculous thing.
It's too big to zoom in.
It's insane. All right, the box is open. First things first, we have several copies of Sea of Thieves itself. One thing that I think is incredibly cool about this is these basically gold cards that have 12-month memberships to Game Pass and Xbox Live. These are awesome. Not going to show you the back because then
Yeah.
you get the codes. I'm
Gold.
on to you. It's happened to me
They're
before.
So in this, it's all set up for 4 players for Sea of Thieves.
Yes.
There are 4 of these V-Moda headsets in there. Really coolly built. This is a crew member headset.
They have a captain one as well, which is pretty cool.
My favorite thing about these,
is
the ear plates. What does it say?
this one says Chips Ahoy, which I think is very funny. I never would have expected Chips Ahoy branding on a video game.
Why do you think
Peripheral?
Chips Ahoy and Sea of Thieves have come together to make this?
I'm guessing it's because of the word ahoy.
Wordplay.
Yeah.
Chips Ahoy. Chips
Yeah.
Ahoy.
So
Can't
this
get
side
enough
has
of it. Love it.
Sea of Thieves emblem, and then you can.
then
There's
it
another
comes-
one you can swap on there if you don't want to have the Chips Ahoy one.
But why wouldn't you?
Why not?
I mean, that's silly.
They're solid headphones though.
They are.
They're V-Moda. I think they're pretty comfortable.
Yep, I have a pair of these at home, and
And-
they're awesome.
They come with these as well, which are the microphones to
Yeah.
plug in. So you don't have to use your mic, but it is recommended for Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, just
And
talk
then-
to each other.
Okay. What do you want to do first? Cookies or controllers?
Cookies.
Cookies. Okay. We
Well-
also have several packets of Chips Ahoy cookies. We've got chewy, we've got chunky, and we've got original.
Actually, you know what? Hit me up with the chewy ones. Would you?
Give me the chewy ones. So this is part of a promotion where you can enter to win an Xbox One X. There's also a code on the back of this box that basically you can put in the code and you can get free DLC for Sea of Thieves as well, which is all pretty crazy and pretty exciting.
So this is the other thing. You and I both collect controllers.
Yeah, I got the Duke. I have Day 1 edition, the Scorpio edition. I don't have one of these.
Something I never knew I wanted ever. Chips Ahoy branded Xbox controller.
They have all of these little, I think they're,
Eat this.
not sure what that design is. There's little anchors and kind of little dots on these, so it does have, the co-branding and the back is white. It's a nice controller. Like, it feels pretty good. It's just I never would have expected it to exist.
Aesthetically, it's very pretty.
I like it, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what to do with this other than take it home and love it.
I guess. It's probably pretty rare. We actually don't know many of the details about this box, and you guys, the catch is that we just thought it was so over the top and silly that you might find some of the same enjoyment we've gotten from it.
It's not just that it's loaded with cool stuff. It's that someone took the time to beat the hell out of this box in this chest.
It's been burned. All of the
hinges are super rusty.
They look like they're rusted. It's been scratched. Like, clearly, manually, someone has put indents on this box to really make it look like it's an old school chest.
If this was from Sea of Thieves, I'd say this is a Castaway chest.
Yeah, you're probably right. It does smell a lot like wood, though. I feel like I'm scared being next to this thing, so.
Especially because this is going to fall at
it's
any
very
moment
scary,
and take your arm off.
But also very cool.
Anyway, it's a big chest full of cool stuff. We thought you wanted to see it too.
For more on Sea of Thieves and whatever other weird things we might get from anonymous sources, stay right here on IGN. But,
Enjoy your bad puns.
It's so weird. So beyond that, I think we were talking about last week a fair bit. Rage 2 is real and has a trailer.
Yep.
Did you guys all see it?
It was. I didn't see this coming.
Neither.
No, I just mean like they teased it for like a week, and then they're like, "Hey, it's real." And then
Well,
they revealed the
it
trailer.
got leaked by
leaked.
Walmart.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And then they just went right into marketing mode.
Yeah, so
I think that's
apparently,
smart.
yeah, apparently they had always planned. I think Pete Hines tweeted about this. They had always planned to have the trailer on the 14th.
Oh, okay.
So it was always planned that way. It's just that they moved the pre-teasing ahead to account for the leak, which I think is like really smart of their marketing team.
Yeah,
So
that's good. That's flexible.
Yeah.
I thought I wouldn't like this as much as I did.
Me too.
Because like I saw the teaser, I'm like, oh, that looks weird. I'm not gonna dig this game. But then I watched the one that we're seeing right now in the video version, and I was actually like, I see what they're doing. I think it's gonna be fun. I think the song choice in the trailer helps a lot.
The punk.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to see if it's as crazy as they're making it
Yeah, I
seem.
mean, the design, I really love the design stuff. Like, punk rock apocalypse is like my favorite kind of apocalypse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just like, this is just a weird out of left field thing where it's like, oh, Rage 2 is here 7, 8 years later at this point.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Well, that's what we were saying last week. Is like, who wanted this? But my concern was like the first one I have beef with because it didn't let me progress. I got stuck and it sucked. But this is colorful, way more varied environments, and it being a team up with Avalanche, who made the Mad Max game.
yep, which is so good.
Yeah.
I know. Look, you and I can fight about this.
Like,
Get out of here.
the ground
Get out of here.
pound and the
fine.
jumping.
I
Very
think
fast pace.
I don't know. This doesn't do anything for me. Granted, I didn't play the first game. I didn't love Borderlands, and this seems to take kind of a page out of that.
Dude, I don't like Borderlands.
like the crazy.
I know. I always feel I don't like
I'm with you on
Borderlands.
that one.
Oh wow,
Thank you.
I love Borderlands.
I mean,
Most
as,
people do.
Some
as
of
a
the
big
gameplay
like
is really
tabletop
fun.
and RPG nerd, like there are a million variations of stuff. So it's very Diablo-esque. It's
I love Diablo.
The Diablo loot system in a shooter, and I'm like, that's fantastic. Here's the thing: I see that, and I'm like, okay, I see what that is. I would just rather that team have made another Mad Max game.
Yep. Me too. I mean, here's the thing. I'm curious to see where this goes because, Avalanche taking over what I assume will be the vehicle half of the game, and then id taking over the shooter half.
Yeah.
I'm into that combo.
Sure.
But I just have no idea what that will practically look like.
Look, I think this is going to be a shared world shooter.
You
well,
think?
it did say open world,
And they
in the trailer.
call it a shooterverse. It's more than an open world, and it's more
don't
than
like
a
that.
shooter. It's lame. It's just them coming
like
up
4-player
with.
co-op, kill the environment sort of game.
Yeah.
No, I think it's gonna be like Destiny.
I don't know about that big.
I don't know. I mean, like looking at some of the stuff in the trailer, like you see, you've got like the shock power and like some super punches and like power jumps or whatever. Like you'll clearly have a bunch of like weird abilities. So like I'm assuming they'll probably give you like that makes sense if you do have variable skills. And
It totally makes sense because I mean, look at how many of the big publishers are making shared world shooters. Shared world shooters.
Say it 3 times fast.
Shared world shooters, shared world shooters, shared world shooters.
Nailed it.
Did I nail it?
Flawless.
Did I?
Good job.
I think it'll be more like. I think it would be more like a GTA Online sort of experience, where like you can. There's like a set number of players, and then there's a refined number of experiences. But Destiny is sort of like. You could any instance that you go into, you could constantly be running into different sorts of people, and I think it'll be like one instance of 30 people maybe on.
You think everyone's just like running them up?
But it's still
nuts.
I mean, they haven't spoken about any component of it being online, but and it's not a very Bethesda thing to do. You know how they had, I think it was the Game Awards last year. They had that trailer that was like saving single player games. Like they've been very clear about their support of single player games, but this one specifically, my guess is they had to justify it. Shared world shooters. So appealing to
games
investors.
and services, man. Like that is where the money is at right now.
It keeps a loyal player base. It keeps people coming back. It keeps them spending money on one thing, and you have to compete with less games if they keep playing your game. And it's like I get why they would try to do that. And it looks different enough to the first one, but does it look different enough from Rage and Mad Max? Not necessarily. So it's like, what else is it? And I think in this case, like just the way it's set up, I can totally see it being a Destiny-like game.
Yeah. So I think one game that correlated a lot to Destiny was Monster Hunter. A lot of people felt that there were a lot of similarities, but Monster Hunter is structured much differently. It's 4 people can join up and then go out and fight monsters.
It's very instanced.
Yeah, so it's instance, and I think that might be what we get here. It's definitely PvE and not like tons of people, and I think that would be pretty likely because just watching the trailer, it looks like a lot of those are just scripted enemies, and if you're playing with friends, it'd probably be like 2 to 4.
Yeah, I can see it being like a more of an optional thing. Yeah. Like with State of Decay, like you can totally play the whole game on your own, but potentially if you want to invite friends for some wacky nonsense, you can totally.
And Monster Hunter was hugely successful. We know Anthem's doing the co-op PvE sort of experience, and I could see this sort of jumping into it lightly.
Is Anthem not going to have a focus on PvP that we know about?
They haven't mentioned anything about PvP yet.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, totally. I mean, Activision's got Destiny, EA will now have Anthem, Bethesda's got this, and this does seem like it's very much a co-op game, just thematically based on the trailer that we saw. You have those two crazy punk apocalypse folks like arm in arm, and then you've got one person chucking a grenade to the other one who's hitting it with a bat. Like it does seem like they
intentionally shaped it as being.
They want you to feel like, hey, me and my friends are going to have a great time in this crazy, wacky world. And it's way too early to pass judgment on any of this.
I mean, I'm 1,000 times more sold on it than I was a week ago, or than when I saw the live action teaser, because I also thought that was kind of dumb.
The whole lead up and then the teaser, I'm just like, I'm not going to be interested in this at all. Then the gameplay, I was like, oh, that's what it is. That doesn't seem anything like what you've shown me this far. I'm more interested now.
Yeah. I wonder if the leak probably hurt them because they didn't get to tease it the way that they wanted to. We were just like, oh, Rage 2, and everyone just made assumptions, and we totally did too. It's like,
it's a good question.
Yeah.
That really like screwed them up. But now we're all pleasantly surprised.
But like with how deftly and agilely they handled it, like
they did a great job. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it doesn't seem like I heard him that much, but yeah, who knows what they would have had revealed, rather than just like a series of images with 514 scrawled on them in hot pink at some point.
Like I really think like we wouldn't have seen more than we already have, aside from that first initial tweet about like stop leaking.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing is like I get everybody's coming out with shared world shooters, but I nailed it. But Red Dead hits in October, and it's going to have an online suite that we already know works.
Spring 2019, I think is what they said.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's coming out at the same time as Anthem?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, because I mean, Bethesda,
we'll see it in fall.
Bethesda in recent years has become the king of, hey, here's a game, it's out in 6 months, Yeah.
I know. That's why I'm surprised that it's actually spring 2019, and it's part of my logic is why I think it might be like a big multiplayer experience. It's like they're taking a longer time, and that they need a longer marketing cycle to be able to sell us on what the concept is.
Yeah.
Potentially.
I think E3 will be really telling because if they're after Red Dead and they're competing then with Anthem, I think those are going to be, this is all speculation, so those games could be nothing alike at the end, but it'll be really interesting to see how they both perform at E3 this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're getting to play Anthem, but I'm so curious about that game. But
no, Anthem's playable at EA Play.
Yeah.
It is?
Oh, neat.
Oh, man.
Anthem and Battlefield, I guess it just got a name today, Battlefield 5.
Battlefield, really? I think it's V.
It's Battlefield 5.
But they've never done that before.
Numeral.
And but I think it's supposed to stand for victory.
Oh, because it's World War II?
Yeah.
Right? Supposedly?
It's supposedly World War II. The reveal stream to get into that is May 23rd, so we'll find out more information then. And Call of Duty's tomorrow morning, so that might be by the time
I don't know.
Up. Yeah. Before
I've
we
missed a
move
lot
on,
the last couple of weeks.
No, things are happening.
Well, it's all that pre-E3 rumor speculation. Like it's gonna have a battle royale mode, and like nobody is on the record confirming
Of course
this
not.
stuff really. But we all have fairly like jumbled ideas of what all these games are gonna look like. So
It's just so much to keep track of right now.
it's just this crappy hurry up and wait period right now.
Yep.
It's like I just want it to be 2 weeks already.
I'm actually enjoying May though because it feels like the pre-E3 where we're getting exciting information, but with enough time to process it all because it's slower.
And to get excited about it.
Yeah.
too.
And it's not like, here's 2 hours. And then I'm like, oh, this is 2 hours of too much.
Yeah.
It's like kind of nice.
I'm really bummed about the Walmart leak, though. I like being surprised.
Me too.
Yeah. Kind of gave away some good stuff.
Yeah.
It always happens.
See, I was out last week, so the only
Not
one that I
to
really
that
heard
extent.
about overtly was Rage 2, so I'm still pleasantly
Which is weird that
ignorant to
well,
it,
it's
so.
because that was the one that was the least believable, I think.
Yeah, 100%. I saw that on Twitter, and I was like, no, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
This-
The others-
Yeah.
Which
You're
one?
fine. Rage 2.
Oh, okay.
We won't tell them what the others are. It's fine.
Yeah, please don't. If you spoil this for me, I'll be mad at you
The
guys
least
forever.
believable is absolutely Forza Horizon 5. So
You're right. No, it was Forza Horizons 5. There was an S on the end there also.
So we're getting two.
I saw so many
Yes?
comments.
Please
on-
no.
I saw so many comments on the last episode saying that we should expect 2 Horizons this
Yeah,
year.
maybe 4 and 5. It's so
Yeah.
silly.
4 and 5.
Before we move on from Rage,
I would like to see Forza Horizon Zero Dawn. I like that a lot. Where it's you race giant dinosaurs.
XV.
How good would that be, right? Wouldn't that be super
I'd
fun?
be super down
Patent
for
pending,
that.
patent pending, patent.
Yeah, no, that is definitely a trademark.
Sony studio and a Microsoft studio come together to make something
Right?
nobody asked for.
Gorilla
How they announce
Playground.
crossplay.
Coming soon on Nintendo Switch.
Exactly.
Before we move on from Rage, which we already did, moving back to it, I just want to say it's set on post-apocalyptic Earth, where 80% of the population has been wiped out by an asteroid, meaning it's not a sequel to Rage, I think. And you play like a ranger of the wasteland, and it seems like it's set
It's a prequel.
on Earth. Don't know.
Pre-sequel.
Wait,
Borderlands a pre-sequel.
did a meteor? If it does take place after Rage, that would mean that a meteor hit post-apocalyptic Earth and created a new post-apocalyptic.
It's
post-apocalyptic Earth?
I don't think it's related to Rage 1.
Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it has to be related to Rage 1, right? Where did that game take place? Earth.
Shrug.
Vegas?
I played like 3 hours of that game. I never
don't-
played enough of it to learn.
I never.
I don't
The
know. I
most
played
I've-
10 hours. of
I learned that there was a
game.
desert and a sewer system.
There were some cool Easter eggs in there.
Right.
from Breaking Bad. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know where it's set, but interested to see that, and I hope that some of the advertising stuff was centered around London, like Big Ben. But I wonder if that's just them trying to like tie into punk culture. Maybe it won't actually be set in a city or anything.
What is punk about Big Ben?
Like,
London.
That's
yeah.
where it was.
Oh, the birth. Okay.
Yeah. Like historically, that's like.
Yeah.
All right, JR.
I thought you meant the actual clock tower. I was like,
No.
that's-
It's the most punk
That's
building
so
ever.
punk.
It's the most punk.
You look at
building
the
I've
Houses
ever
of
seen.
Parliament and you're just like, oh yeah, man, fight the
Yeah.
system.
Look at those
Screw the
ways.
man.
Look at those ways those hands move. They don't give a.
But stop.
Okay,
Stop.
you have not played Red Dead Redemption, but
No,
you've
I have
seen
not.
it.
But I have seen it in person. God, it's a very pretty video game.
Yeah, tell us about it. I mean, the things
Oh,
that,
man.
that I've read a lot of interviews online and tried to get more information about it because, I kept saying, I want to see gameplay. It turns out a lot of what was in the trailer was gameplay.
So-
It's not obvious.
Yeah, I mean, well, as anyone who's played around with the Rockstar editor in GTA 5 would know, like, you can do a lot with the actual in-game engine. And so, like, a lot of the shots in the trailers that we've seen, like that first trailer that they dropped that was just all the locations and stuff, like, every single shot in that was done like that. Like, that's load in the world gameplay.
Wait, so did they use the editor and just go back over the gameplay?
I don't know exactly how they did it. I
Or-
wasn't in the
or-
room
well,
with them,
I guess
but I assume
more-
as much. It was a similar tool.
Well,
at the
more
very
poignant, I guess, would be the gameplay that you saw. Is there like a HUD or easily
So
recognizable?
the gameplay that we saw had a very, very, very minimal HUD. Okay.
It did have one.
Well, so it wasn't like the HUD that you can turn on and
But
off.
it was a HUD? No,
There was a
kidding.
HUD, yes. HUD's confirmed. No, it's so what we saw was almost nothing on the screen HUD-wise except for the interactions menus that came up because they had this new interaction system where you can not only, like in Red Dead 1, your options were pretty much only to shoot somebody or not shoot somebody. And in this, there's a whole bunch of goo in between to dive into.
Sort of shoot somebody.
No, like, I mean,
you
instead of
can-
locking on, like if you lock onto somebody with your gun out, then you'll point your gun at them.
Yeah.
But if you lock onto somebody with your gun holstered, it'll be like, oh, what do you want to do with this person? Do you want to say hi? Do you want to be like, F you, buddy? Or do you want to be like, give me your money?
And can you do this to anyone?
Yeah, anybody, like any of the NPCs that you walk by is like, and apparently like those conversations can be like legitimate branching talks.
Yeah, from
and-
what I read, it turns out some of them seem to be able to turn into like slight side quests.
Well, I think the idea is sort of that's everybody.
It's crazy.
That if you decide to, like, so there's, there's a guy riding on the trail after we were hunting in our demo, and like he, you know, politely like tips his hat and nods at us like, hey, like good job getting that deer. That's a nice load of meat you got there. And you know, our player just goes,
sounds like a great dude.
he was super nice.
Great job. That's a good load of meat.
Oh yeah. But no, and so, you know, the guy who was driving the demo, he had Arthur just be like, oh, thank you kindly, and then kept on riding. But like apparently you could just like turn around, fall into step with him, and like have an ongoing, like, I don't know if you can have like a free form, fully scripted conversation or anything, but you can keep interacting with him on, I guess the best way to put it, because I don't really know how deep that discussion system goes, you can keep interacting with them on like an emotional level. Like you can choose to keep, so like you can choose to keep antagonizing
The
them.
first person that talks to me, I'm not letting them out of that conversation until one of us are dead.
I mean, no, that's the thing is like you can essentially, you know, you'll be able to. It's sort of a system where, you know, you've got relative prompts for like how you want to handle the situation instead of like specifically going to say like, oh, you have a cool looking horse there, partner. You know,
Kind of in
that's a fine horse.
like a Mass Effect wheel way where it's like Paragon or Renegade.
I mean, it's definitely not that binary. Like it's sort of like you can be aggro to somebody and you can be friendly, but then you can also, there are like a couple of other options apparently.
If you go aggro, are you down the aggro path at that point?
I don't know.
Can I go aggro, then be nice, then be aggro?
I mean, we'll see.
So here's the thing. Until they're like, what do you want?
You're seriously gaslighting like everybody on the
this is the cool
frontier.
thing that I really like about it is that no, you can't, because they'll 100% be like, you're being a dick right now. Stop it. And if you don't, they'll be like, no, like, and they'll like pull out their gun and they'll be like, no, like, stop being a dick or we're going to have a problem. Like if you go to a bar in town and you start like being aggressive.
Causing a ruckus?
Yeah, if you start causing a ruckus, like
Causing a good old
sheriff
ruckus.
and his deputies
Nah,
will
here.
walk up to you, and it's not like in Red Dead 1 where it's like 1 star, you're going to get shot in a firefight. They'll walk up to you and be like, hey, do we have a problem here?
Listen, son.
Like,
That's cool.
I like that.
And so like they'll actively try and diffuse the situation.
That's cool.
Without having to get you into a violent altercation, of course, depending
One
on
of the things I read
you
was
do it.
a lot of GTA 5 is if you like bump into a character, they just dropped their coffee cup. That's what they mostly had was like as a reaction is just that one animation. And they're trying to like evolve beyond that to be like, well, we want other characters, other NPCs to react to a lot more strongly. So you feel like everything in this world has a place.
Exactly. And that's the thing where it's like, you know, everybody, Krupa talks about this in one of the previews that he wrote, which y'all should check out because they're great.
Also read Jon Ryan's.
Yeah, also read my stuff, but like read all the stuff because it's all very good.
We had an embargo last week, and there's just a ton of
2
Red
weeks ago.
Dead impressions right now on the site.
Lots of great info in there. But so like there's this concept that like everything works sort of on a schedule, like the way that it's supposed to be. So it's like not only will the sheriff interrupt you from causing a ruckus, but like if you ride into town, he'll just be like doing his job. He'll like go make rounds to the shop. He can be like, hey Chuck, everything okay? Cool, great, see you later. Like the shopkeeps will unload trucks, or not trucks, but like wagons. And do their own thing instead of it just being that everyone's going nowhere. You know, like there are NPCs in GTA 5.
They're not
Oh my
just
God.
They have lives.
I hope there's a Dolores Easter egg in there from Westworld where she
Doesn't
drops
look
a
like
can and it
anything to
rolls
me.
into the street.
That would be great.
Oh my goodness.
Just go romancer.
But I mean, yeah, and that's really like
Are you kidding? She's insane.
as Raz it was to see this gameplay demo. And it was I've rarely gone to an like initial preview demo and had it be 45 minutes of gameplay. This was crazy in that sense. But it seemed that even though they're introducing all these crazy systems and like this super detailed world, it's like blows my mind sort of what they're doing just on that front, where it's like everything on Arthur's character model and everybody else's is like independently rendered. So like his suspenders are not just part of his shirt; they're a separate
he
thing.
Gets
like
dirty progressively depending on the activities he's taking, and will stay that way until he changes clothes. I remember playing. I think it happens in Arkham Asylum, where the further you get through the game, the more tattered your coat is, and just being like, "Ooh, cool."
That's sort of like in Arkham, because it was earlier tech. It's just like
It was
as
really
you hit
impressive at
points
the
in the
time.
story.
Right. It's like as there's a cutscene that ruins your cape a little bit more,
And
then
then
you'll see
was
that
it
kind of battle
city?
damage.
But like during a fight, it reacts like that as well.
Yeah.
So like when you're almost dead, he's like basically naked.
Whereas, this is like the.
Well, it's like Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine game.
Oh,
you
that's
just
what it
like
was.
you can literally just be a skeleton.
There's just like chunks of flesh are missing from you.
It's cool.
Listening to you guys describe like the real-time sort of emergent ways that these characters have the world imprinted upon them through dirt or 5 o'clock shadows or
you grow hair. Your hair grows.
Yeah.
I had a
you
question.
grow hair.
Okay, I think this is,
2018.
look, okay, one of the biggest jokes we make about Rockstar games. It's like one of the few things that's memeable is that you walk into a barber shop and then you
walk out
grow
with a
hair.
fro.
Yeah, and you're like, you don't have any, and then you're like, boop, and what's the noise? It's like ding, ding, when you're like going through the menu and like
it's tick, tick, tick,
selecting.
tick, tick.
And
Yeah.
It's especially San Andreas, but it's like that's such a silly thing. It is like, well, no, but we want our games to be taken seriously. So you grow hair and you have to actually get haircuts or have your beard shaved or whatever to like maintain it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think that that's sorry. I don't think that's necessarily a response to that sort of like memeability. I mean, I think it is it's a nice factor, but it's also that thing of like trying to keep the world like we know, we're not actually. It's an unrealistic world simply by the fact that it's back in time, but like it's trying to make it as believable and real as possible, and like having the fact that if you want to have a mustache, you have to grow a mustache and shave your facial hair into a mustache. Like,
wait, whoa. Can you actually sculpt your facial hair?
I have no idea, but I really hope so.
I imagine you can get a mustache if you want.
Yeah, you could probably just shave it.
I mean, I'm sure,
and then it'll grow.
Yeah, but I'm not talking like, all right, you
mean like there's a dome.
You want a mini game?
Yeah,
like
that's what I want.
Can I move my cursor to be like, where are my chops start?
I really want a don't slit your throat with a straight razor mini game.
I think you two would be only people who would play that. If it
I
was
would
like,
play
you
that
have
and
to
that
turn
alone.
facial hair.
I'm sorry,
you're wrong.
Destin's been trying to ask this question for
so
like
in addition, with the hair growing mechanic, which is really awesome when I read about that, there's decay on the animals that you hunt. So what I want to do is never shave, see
the filthiest,
how gross and disgusting I can get.
Get muddy, don't change your clothes.
Have the first deer that I kill on the back of my steed the entire game.
Okay.
So I have a rotted, disgusting deer, and I look like a monster, and I just interact with.
So the way that I
Why?
understand it,
Just because I want to see if how weird can the game get? How weird can I make Red Dead Redemption?
What's the third act of that plan? Do you like shave and put on a suit and like it's an
I show
episode of
people at work,
Undercover
I'm like,
Boss?
look at the monster I made, everybody. Why do you
mean,
have a dead deer there?
He's a wild man.
so like to my understanding, everyone's just going to avoid you.
Yeah.
Like, well, so it's that thing
you
of
stink.
like the guy riding past us in our demo, like he noticed that we had just killed like a 4 or 5 point buck, and we had a bunch of rabbit pelts hanging off our thing, and he was like, "Hey, nice job." Similarly, if you kill a deer or a bear or whatever and have it strapped to the back of your cart, like it will rot and it will get gross, and like not only will people be like, "That's weird and or disgusting," but like animals around the world will be like, "Hey, I could eat that." And oh, there's a live one there too. I could eat that too. And so like there's like that ecosystem is more than it sort of was in the first one and in GTA 5.
That's cool.
Okay, so this
Theoretically, yeah.
This might be morbid, but does the same system apply
People?
to
Yes.
people?
At least as far as I know.
So you could just like your first bandit you kill, drag him around on your horse to hunt, essentially using him as a
I mean,
mobile lure.
I think that might. I can't say yay or nay to that entirely. I think that would be a super cool, if not incredibly.
So JR, you made the game. Tell me.
I mean, well, that's the thing. Is
What
like
can I
we
do?
had a really, really good long talk with one of the co-studio heads, this guy Rob Nelson, and he was super into that, like going up and then talking about sort of like how everything kind of feeds into itself and how you can, use those realistic systems to your favor in the game world. So like he was telling us a story where he was out in the wilderness and he had killed a buck, but he also got like spooked by a bear, and so he killed the bear too. And he was like, "Hey, I want both of these, but I can only fit one thing on my horse." So because the horse breaking minigame is back, he just went, found a wild horse, broke it, and then with his horse that was still like his and like whistleable to follow, he put one on the back of his horse and then one on the back of the other one, and just like kind of let it down the road back to town to sell everything.
Real talk though, a horse can carry a bear?
No, it can't carry a whole bear, but you
Half a
can
bear.
grotesquely skin an animal and then put parts of it onto the back of your
You have
horse.
to break 2 horses to take a whole bear back.
I mean, I don't know if you can take all of the bear once you decide what to do with it, but I'm sure you could get a
It sounds a lot like Oregon Trail. You can only take 85 pounds of meat.
I mean, but like really, like a horse can't carry that much.
I mean, it makes sense considering the lengths they're going through to like make your character dirty and grow your facial hair. Like it totally makes sense to keep it as consistent as possible.
I mean, the
All
way
of this stuff probably sounds so trivial, but I think the detail is really impressive. It's like I think this is all really good stuff.
it's
not at all.
It's awesome. It's the little details that make this stuff.
Yeah,
totally. That's what's so impressive about Rockstar in general. I think is like the way they do that stuff.
There's a really cool story or explanation that they talked about while we were touring the studio about how they sort of designed the worlds and build stuff into it. And it's for GTA 5, for example, like you have Michael's house. Okay, well, they start with the rocks that go down the driveway. Okay, does this rock look good next to this rock? Cool. Does those 2 rocks look good as a driveway? Cool. Does that look good as a driveway for this house. Cool. Does that house look good on next to this one and next to that one? Does that neighborhood, does that street belong in that neighborhood? Does that neighborhood belong in that part of the city? And so on and so forth until you get the entirety of San Andreas.
Wow.
And so like taking that into this new generation of consoles, like with the horsepower of the PS4 and the Xbox One, like
Horsepower.
Yeah, he said nay before also. And I just want to be like, ding.
I said neighborhood.
No, you said yay or nay, and I was like,
nice. Are we just going to start like let's put a horse reference counter down there?
Did you bring a pencil? You're at 2.
I did, yeah. Here, so I've got 2 right now.
Let's just trot along to the next subject.
Then see that you can't like try and get it. You gotta it's gotta be organic.
Oh, okay.
It's gotta be emergent gameplay.
I did also want to talk about the camp stuff, just because I haven't really wrapped my head around it. And then it seems like you have a camp, and that's because Dutch's gang is being followed or chased. You have to move the camp regularly, but you have to maintain the camp. Like you have to bring your resources and money back to it. So if you go off and do side stuff and then you come back, they'll be like, where have you been? And you have to kind of manage your relationships there also externally.
So it's, there's this notion where, it's not necessarily like Fallout, I don't think, where if you ignore, like they don't want it to kind of ruin the fun of existing in this world. If you you do want to go out and have gross animals rotting on the back of your homeless man horse
I do.
for like a month at a time, and then come back to progress the story. So it's like the camp is this super intricate like network of people who you do interact with, and like they'll be where you sort of go to start your quote story mission, then a bunch of side missions too. Like they're sort of trying to blur that line where it's just like instead of having like the little J pop up for a John Marston mission, you just sort of like go to camp and he's like, hey, let's do a thing, and then you're like, cool. And so if you do go out and you come back after a while, they'll say where were you, or they'll acknowledge it and maybe give you a little bit of shit for it, but that's not gonna like inhibit or impede your progression to the game.
It just sounds so much more dynamic, and I get that because some people maybe don't want to worry about that management stuff, so they wouldn't want to like force it.
Well, that's the thing. It's that notion of putting fun before all else. Like have it be realistic, but don't make it not fun. Like the whole thing with taking rabbits and stuff and hunting. Like the deer's gonna rot off the back of your horse because they don't want you riding around with a disgusting horse on the just a carcass on the back of your horse for a month.
Well, but how I want to play.
Yeah, I know.
But no, like you can get like squirrels and rabbits and stuff that you'll put in like your side pouch, and that stuff won't rot because it's in a pouch. It's in a pouch. It's been wrapped in wax paper or whatever.
Yeah,
we'll put that.
Science.
But so like the camp
we'll
stuff,
see.
it's less about like I don't know if there's gonna be. I don't think there's any like base building or stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily sound like it. But it's not necessarily you're gonna come back and it's like Bill Williamson's died of dysentery because you didn't clean the water hole. Like
they can take care of themselves.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it is a functional
Bill.
camp where your absence will be noticed. But just like the sheriff makes his rounds, the doctor makes his round. Like everybody at camp has their own jobs. Like everything runs on this schedule. That's just like. If somebody gets up in the morning, it's their job to like get a fire going for the cook, who's the cook's job to like get a deer or a buck or a bear.
And John, that happens organically, right?
Yeah.
It's not something you set.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Like you can help. Like, so the demo that we had started with the cook being like, hey, like we're low on meat today. Like, can you go get some food?
Yeah.
And like, you could totally not do that. Like you could just be like, nah, I'm just going to like go into the woods and shoot dudes.
Yeah.
Or birds, whatever is up to you.
What kind of dudes are hanging out in those woods?
You'd be surprised.
Oh,
bandits.
Is it you?
No, angry
You're a weird
dudes.
homeless horseman?
Creepy
No,
corpse.
there was an angry man just like camping in the middle of the woods for a demo.
Destin just looks up,
pretty cool.
full beard.
Well, it was weird because like we rode up and like we weren't being. Honestly, if I ride out there now and I find like if whatever the online component ends up being, if I can just like ride into the middle of the woods and find you just like standing there,
Loud noises frighten you. Just like,
Surrounded by dead animals. It's like a full
you've
band.
literally just gone feral.
Wow.
That'll be my character.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
For me, online.
can't wait to play this.
Yeah,
Actually, I can't wait to watch you
We were
play this.
obviously already really excited about Red Dead Redemption 2, but this has made me like, not excited about it as another Red Dead game, but excited about it as a video game that seems to be pushing the medium of video games, which we expected Rockstar to do. But like reading the details of this stuff is like, damn, man. Like, I don't care what setting this is in. I want these things in video games. So I'm excited to finally get to play.
Sort of what they do, right? Every 5 years, they're like, well, we're going to drag, the medium forward with a lot of money and a lot of technology.
But I mean, like, you kind of have earned that. Like, when you make the most profitable entertainment medium of all time, like, you kind of earn that right to be like, we're going to take 8 years to make a video game.
Oh, I don't think anyone's complaining about it too, because I mean, look, I mean, you still write about GTA on a weekly basis. Oh yeah, for work.
Yeah, there was just news about it yesterday, 2 days ago. But I mean, the single player DLC thing sucks that we didn't get DLC for GTA 5 and they promised it. That sucks. People complain about that.
It does. The heists were phenomenal though.
The heists were great.
Yeah. So was the
did that officially get kiboshed? I missed that.
I don't think they.
I don't think it has.
They
like,
never
announced they weren't doing it. But then
here's the thing.
I never saw the tombstone, but
I mean, I'm still willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, we're literally just having a conversation about how Rockstar does things on their own time because they've earned the right to do that, and we're like, well, it's never gonna.
Well, I mean, that's
the
thing
like the
too.
10-year anniversary, and they'll be like, "You thought you were away from GTA
exactly.
5? No, you're not."
By the way, I just want to call out Alanah Pierce. She said this would never happen, and
damn it, Rockstar. We'll see.
You're like, they know my name.
God.
So there's a little bit of news, not tons, and we can get through it pretty quick. Cliffy B's studio, Boss Key Productions, has shut down. He said on Twitter that Lawbreakers was a great game that unfortunately failed to gain traction, and that Radical Heights was a last-ditch attempt to make their own take on the huge battle royale genre, but it was too little, too late. So he's taking some time off. Have to give condolences to everyone who worked at the studio. Of course, this kind of thing sucks, and it is hard making video games, and we forget that. You know,
it's a tough business.
Yeah, I mean, it's even thinking about Battleborn. Like, there's games that like people are so invested in, and they try so hard to market these things, and they don't work. And did any of you play Lawbreakers?
Yes,
I actually enjoyed that.
I went to the first preview event. I actually went out to Boss Key. God, that had to have been 2016, something years ago in Raleigh. And they did the presentation and walked us through the office, and they had a whole setup, and their team was super jazzed about the game. And what I played, I really, I mean, they were looking at the footage right now. If you're watching the video version, there's so many characters. When I played it, there were 5. But what I took away from that game is just like, man, that studio really knows how to make a game feel good.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving around, shooting, the assassin's grappling whip thing, like that was just next level to me as far as like how it felt to play the game.
I think Radical Heights has a lot of potential as well, and they did say the servers will be up for the near future, so if you haven't played it, you can. But
it was fun. I really liked the aesthetic and the design of Radical Heights, actually. It was really, really interesting, and it was sad that so shortly after that, and like, oh, I could see potential here. It's a little glitchy, but they could probably fix that up, and they're like, oh, we're closed.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure
it sounded like a pivot.
Yeah, the ideas not seeming original is probably what really hurt them in marketing. But yeah, I mean, I've seen people say some pretty awful things to Blazinski after this happened. It's like, no, everyone who was working there is so passionate about video games. This is a guy who made Unreal and, you know, worked on Gears, which we adore. So best of luck to him and the rest of that team. He has a very cute dog that he said he's going to hang out with. So
good. That is always a good condolence, is to hang out with a good dog. And hopefully, you know, we'll see some cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm curious if he'll go back to the Coalition, go back to Epic. He did share on his Twitter as well a bunch of things that would be really hard to explain, but concepts he had for
really cool concept art for games. Yeah,
really cool sounding stuff.
That Samurai Dragon game was real cool.
That one I was super sold on.
Yeah, man, that game looked really cool.
Yeah, so he's still got plenty of ideas in him, and hopefully we can see more of those come to life.
We have not seen the last of Cliffy B.
Yeah. The next one, which I think is really funny, there's a Monster Hunter movie in development starring Mila
Jovovich.
Mia Jovovich.
So,
thank you.
Even when this was announced, I was like, wait, really? The budget is $60 million. It's set to shoot
$60 million.
Set to shoot in South Africa, and it gets weirder. It was already weird.
Okay, I'll let you finish.
Anderson first revealed his interest in tackling Monster Hunter back in September 2012. And said the film will focus on an average American who is yanked into a parallel world filled with monsters. Quote, then eventually the parallel world ends up coming into our world. So you have the creatures from Monster Hunter invading our world.
This is the same guy that directed the Resident Evil movies, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's so many things wrong with this. First off, you realize this is an entire franchise about giant monsters, and your budget is $60 million. Like, I don't.
How's that CG gonna look?
I'm gonna really hope that they spend that. I'm gonna hope that they spend $55 million on practical effects, Like little teeny tiny. Yeah. Or if he decides to make a really terrible B movie out of it, where it's literally just like a Godzilla action figure you can get from the store, like spray painted red to be an
I
engine.
would watch that.
Right?
$60 million.
Exactly.
They're like, no, just low angles, get lower.
A lot
Shoot
of forced
shoot it
perspective
from the bottom.
It's just so Monster Hunter to me. One of my favorite things about Monster Hunter is that the monsters aren't necessarily angry. Like you're going into their space, you're hunting some of them sometimes just for cool clothes.
Yeah.
Some of them, it is the case that they're angry at you, but it's like they exist in an ecosystem and you are invading it. I think having the monsters,
they're animals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Having the monsters invade Earth makes it sound like a monster battle, which is just not what Monster Hunter is about at all.
It's
So
Monster Defender at that point.
Yeah.
I mean,
the full quote is: an average American is yanked into a parallel world filled with monsters, but then eventually they invade.
Yeah.
Why
See,
do the monsters invade that?
because
really-
when
when that person comes
when
back.
she comes back to our world, when Mila comes back to our world,
Totally average
the rift
American.
or the portal or whatever is
Stays
Monsters
is
of course
open,
come
and
also.
and an
But
engine
why would they? They're
pokes
so
his head
happy
in.
where they are. Aside
Like,
from
yeah, I
being
feel like
hunted.
it's going to be like the end of Jurassic Park 2, The
It
Lost
will.
World.
It
but
will.
it's not going to be all of the monsters. It's just going to be like one.
It will. It will.
Maybe.
Like if they literally just like redo that sequence, like with Jeff Goldblum and everybody else,
100%.
with the rolling
Yeah,
76
you're
ball.
It'll be an Anjanath stepping on a rolling 76 ball
Yep.
in the middle of, Everytown, USA.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to see this movie.
Get out.
I think that it's
Well, that's
it's easy to market a movie that's just called Monster Hunter to the masses with like a girl who looks super cool and cool looking monsters and have it not be related to the franchise at all.
Yep.
That's marketable. I would watch that. But when you tie it to this franchise, I'm like, wait, what? Have you played this
I
game?
mean, I kind of like the idea of like the sort of like Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court angle for the first half of that, where it's just like, oh, okay, a normal person has to come into this world where cats can talk and are your sidekicks for things.
I hope they have.
Oh no, the scene where
Calicos.
the first time they meet the cat.
But like,
Calicos?
Like, oh, you're so cute.
They're not even going to include them.
There'll be. A scene.
I
Actually,
would
they probably
bet
will.
They
They will.
don't
You
have
know they will.
Calicos.
I 100% think this
They
is...
totally will.
no.
That's the toy they can make
There
for
it is.
kids.
Yeah,
That's
it
the
is.
one.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I 100% think this is going to be also like a play with China. Like they'll get investment.
oh
from
yeah,
there.
this
like,
will be huge in the internet.
look at Great
Yeah.
Wall, look at Pacific Rim. Like I
mean, look at the
really do
Resident Evil
think-
movies.
Yeah, I really do think we're going to see a lot of catering and sort of creative decisions made for that audience. as well.
I'm fine with that.
I'm totally fine with that as
Yeah,
well.
me too.
I just don't know what this movie looks like outside of this terrible synopsis that I feel like I've seen before.
The good news is we'll find out once they run out of that $60 million and can't get any more.
Seriously.
It's insane.
I mean,
but-
they're-
I mean, like that's still a huge budget. Like you can do a lot with that. It's just gonna.
a thing that needs giant monsters, though.
it sounds like a summer blockbuster, and I think it only succeeds if it's a summer blockbuster type movie.
What other movies had a $60 million budget? Does anybody know? Or
Oh, nothing in recent years.
yeah, I'm just trying to think if there were comparable films that.
Yeah,
First,
that
Deadpool,
was like
60 million,
That
and
was
that
like
movie's great. And they even
Yeah.
they could
No,
play
no.
into it though.
Yeah,
They
that
could
movie's
play
great
into the
because of the
gag.
main character. Like,
yeah.
There's not giant
that
monsters
movie's
yet.
great because he has a mouth on him and he just cracks jokes the entire time, and it's hilarious.
Monsters could do that.
Yeah.
They could have a Deadpool-esque monster.
That's the thing is you have to then animate a giant
wisecracking-
monster that can crack
Talking the
jokes.
whole
It's
time?
No,
voiced
no,
by
thank you.
Ryan
There were
Reynolds.
some good explosions in Deadpool. They
I'm telling
fought
you,
on the ship.
I'm
or
telling you
whatever.
guys,
Dude,
practical effects,
I'll go buy a
Independence
bunch
Day
of
style.
gasoline right now. That's
I
like
would
$40.
love that.
Me too. I always prefer that. And you know that there's like 6 warehouses in Hollywood full of crap that no one's ever going to use. That they
gonna-
could just blow up and destroy.
They're gonna grab the T-Rex from Jurassic Park 1 and just spray paint it red.
I'm okay with that.
and then like
This is Andrew at the
And just like
Maybe
add a
just
fin
put
on
some
top.
fake wings on it.
yeah,
I'm
they're gonna,
100% okay with that.
They're gonna spray paint a bunch of plastic gloves red and like glue them to the side of his
Look,
head.
they're making Jurassic World 3 as we speak.
Oh,
like
hey.
2 is coming out.
Oh, that's
now.
not a bad
Like,
idea.
They
Hey,
could just be like, hey, can we just borrow this?
What is
for,
that?
like-
Universal? Is that Jurassic Park? Yo, hey Universal,
it's
can we just like co-op? Can we just borrow that like dino for like 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Do you still have that dinosaur model? Could we borrow it?
Hey, question. Is it okay if it comes back red?
Well,
Don't
I mean,
worry.
look-
3-4 weeks, it'll come right off.
oh, they'll be fine.
gotta
They can
wear
just
off.
build another one for the money they're going to rake in with the next Jurassic Parks.
What's
Yeah, you're right, actually.
It's true, yeah, it really is. What's funny is I think like even the original T-Rex was just a head on a platform.
Yeah.
I think that would still be too expensive for them at this point.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but we'll keep you guys updated as we find out more about that.
I honestly hope that it actually ends up being good.
Yeah,
Well,
of
I
course.
hope all things people are creating end up being good, but you know,
I can't see this anything other
be too
than
hopeful.
Resident Evil.
Oh, I don't. I have
7,
high hopes, but
whatever,
no, hope is fine. Expectations are another thing.
Yes. Okay, fair.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, we got a couple of quick E3 updates. I'll keep this segment short. Square Enix is having a conference for the first time in 3 years, but it's basically pre-recorded. My guess is it might be like a Nintendo Direct style.
I actually think that's a good move for them.
I do too.
Yeah.
They have some stuff to show, but I don't think it would be enough to have. If they announce like a full hour of a conference, people might be disappointed. It's probably going to be mostly Kingdom Hearts 3.
It's pre-recorded. It'll be more succinct to the point. We'll get to see more gameplay.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably see some Kingdom Hearts. I think we'll probably see some Tomb Raider. I think
Yeah.
we might see some Final Fantasy.
I'm still expecting Tomb Raider to show up on Xbox's stage though, and this is Monday, June 11, 10 a.m. PT, so it'll be after.
It's
Xbox.
after Microsoft, yeah. So I imagine we'll see like the big reveal trailer at Microsoft stage, and then Monday morning we'll see the deep dive or
Yeah.
They got that Avengers thing, right?
The Avengers project.
They have
do.
Is that Crystal D?
No, that's just Square. I don't know if that is Crystal D. Maybe it is.
Crystal D had Team 2 that was working on the Avengers.
Maybe it is.
Yeah, I remember the tease.
definitely
Like,
Square.
That's one that I haven't followed.
Because they don't
at
have
all.
Hitman anymore.
That's Warner Brothers now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Wonder how long it is. But we'll for sure be covering it, of course. E3 is already crazy. And then we already spoke about Battlefield. Borderlands 3, that's another one, is probably not going to be at E3. This is a really weird story. So Randy sort of announced that in a weird way. He said, I could write it out now precisely and specifically that Borderlands 3 will not be at E3 and many of you will choose not to believe it. Many of you will find a way to interpret the intent to suit what you want to believe regardless of what is true.
Okay, but
Sounds like he's saying it's
what?
going to be at
Randy,
E3.
what's true?
He could have just said it's not going to be
This is-
E3. I don't think it's going to be, though, to be honest.
This is like when someone says, "No, I absolutely don't have a secret."
I have
if you
not
don't-
done anything wrong.
I don't think it'll be there either. I think that's just over-explaining it.
It's
though.
so
It's like,
odd.
hey, it's not going to be there. If you
I
don't
think
believe
he's
me, I
trying
don't
to
care.
throw us off the scent.
I mean, maybe.
It's definitely going to be at
Here's
E3.
the thing. It's clumsy enough that might be the case.
No way. It's not going to be.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, but it could be like a setup just to stroke his own ego to be like, remember that
Gotcha.
tweet that I said? You all thought it.
What's like the
And
what's
then he'll
the,
do a card trick.
what's the upside outcome of
Non-magician.
that?
I
It's
don't know,
like,
like-
at E3 it debuts and he goes, "Ha! I'm a liar." You know?
Yeah.
Or,
Well, that's what
exactly
blows me
it.
I got you.
away on, like, Arkham Knight did that too, where it's like, oh, it's totally not this character, it's totally not this character, it's totally this character.
wasn't.
And it's like, haha, we lied to you and you
So-
fell for it.
That one was an interesting one because supposedly they had written it as the Red Hood and then decided that they couldn't do that because, and I heard this from like an outside manufacturer, not from WB, so Scoops. But
Oh, man,
basically
exclusive Scoops.
they had written it like it was Red Hood and then decided that they couldn't have it be him because they didn't want the player to know more than Batman going in. You're like, that's a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
If the player is smarter than Batman, who is this genius detective, so we have to change the character to make it this new character so that doesn't happen. And I would think that that's like probably a licensing issue that they had working with DC. Like, I'm not
It was
sure.
totally who I thought it was the whole game.
Yeah.
I mean, same.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, most people couldn't look that up online when he was announced or whatever. So I think that was the idea, which is a really interesting case. And that's why it was announced so last minute.
Yeah.
When you saw, I think they put it on Facebook, they put his character design up and like, this is the Arkham Knight. When we all thought the Arkham Knight was Batman, it probably was. And then they had to change it. It's like, very weird process, but that's how that worked.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know how we got here, but
Because
to end the episode.
it's bad to lie to people.
Totally
Don't
is gonna
lie to
be at
people.
Don't lie to your
E3
audience.
or-
Probably
Yeah.
not Borderlands 3, we don't know.
Totally gonna be
Instead of doing
I hope
trivia, which I probably should have, I probably just should have thrown you a button, but
Trivia.
you know, Ryan's out, we changed the rules. I'm not doing the games that are out this week. I want to do some really cool Xbox like wins is what I'm calling these, of things that were really cool that Xbox did that wouldn't necessarily be like a huge news break. So one of them is a photo of a new Xbox controller that was designed specifically for accessibility.
This is
was
awesome.
leaked by Twitter user H0H0X0D.
It's the Chips Ahoy one, right?
Yes.
Not
Oxide?
the
Yeah.
one. No, it's like this kind of
What everyone needs.
rectangular white controller that has. It's got grooved impressions on the top, which could be for people who prefer
SNES?
touch over sight.
So picture
It looks like two turntables, sort
I'm
of.
sorry. I
Kind
think
of.
I
a
got the
fight
game off.
stick, but instead of the buttons on the left, it's got two big circles, two big
pads,
pads.
kind of.
But the size of small plates.
I think the idea is that if you do not have the finger dexterity to press actual buttons, you can hit these
Awesome.
big pads.
That's great.
Or
That's
if
really
you
cool.
Don't have a hand or
Or
something.
if you,
Yeah,
yeah,
and it
I
looks
actually
like
play
those-
with a lot of I don't know, handicapped. I don't know what the proper term is, but they play Destiny with me often, and they say that they have a lot of difficulty or special versions of controllers that they've made. So I'm really happy that Microsoft has done this.
It's an awesome thing for them to do, especially because it's not profitable. Like, it's just a thing that they're doing because it's, you know, Abled Gamer, I think is the name of the charity. They show so many like iterations to controllers that they've made themselves as a company, and Microsoft
the DIY on that side is amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So it's really cool.
Now I feel bad for making a Chips Ahoy joke.
You're fine.
I'm fired.
But I think that this is really impressive. And the other one is just that Divinity Original Sin 2 is coming to Xbox Game Preview. Mostly including this because I really love that game.
I'm so
It's a really, really, really good game. But also just shout out to Game Preview. You can play the first 3 hours for free right now, and then you can unlock the first act, which is around 20 hours by buying the game. It's a really good game.
The first act is not a normal act of a video game. It is a long, long time. And it's good. The story is really good. By the end of the first act, you know if you want to keep playing this game.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I just want to give a shout out to generally like that whole program from Xbox where we get Game Preview by playing on Xbox. We get Xbox Insider, so you can basically beta test new dashboard updates. Like, there's so many awesome community features that I feel like don't get spoken about enough, and I just wanted to give them a shout out for that. That I think both of these systems are really, really cool. So
Yeah,
thanks to Xbox.
These were cool.
Great job, guys.
Yeah, so I'm sure the next couple of weeks will be more E3 news. I'm out next week. Ryan and Miranda will be back.
I'm also out next week.
Okay, and then the week after that's probably our E3
he's
prediction.
Are you back? Are you back on Thursday?
Fine, I'll just do the whole show myself.
I'm going to my
then.
sister's wedding next week.
Oh, nice. I'm.
Are you going to my sister's wedding?
Yeah, Brandon's going to be there. Surprise.
Am I invited?
I didn't know you knew each
And if he's going to be there, I'm going to be there.
I gotta go. I gotta go get my tux refitted.
You guys ready to come to Australia? Let's go.
Yes, 100%.
100% would go to Australia. Destin and I are going
Work thing.
out of the town for a super secret,
I'm doing that the week after.
super secret work thing. That we
Yeah, a
can't
lot of
talk
E3
about.
prep in this office right
Fun.
now.
Y'all have
so-
fun. I'm gonna.
No, you're coming with us.
went and
I'm not.
played.
Actually, no. You
went
need to go to
and
a
watched
lot of.
No,
Play
I already did my super secret work
Yeah.
thing for the year.
We're
I'm just
gonna-
gonna toilet paper your desk while you're out.
We're gonna be out of the country. You have to take Alanah to her sister's wedding.
I mean, that's fine. I'm a great wedding
Go to
host.
Australia.
you really
Yeah,
are.
no, 100%. Let's do it.
But before we wrap up the show, what's everyone working on right now that aren't secrets? Do you have anything that you guys are allowed to talk about?
No, it's
No one's allowed to
pre-E3.
talk about anything?
Honestly, I finished the Destiny review for Warmind, and I have been sort of like trying to regain my bearings since then, because that was like 80 hours in a week of nothing but Destiny.
Yeah.
Love
And
Destiny.
yeah, it's hard to like get back.
Well, you
into
can
the-
give that a
the flow.
shout out.
Yeah, so I
Check
reviewed
that out.
Warmind. Check that out.
Go read Destin's review.
IGN.com.
It's good.
It was Dan's like, is this really 5,000 words? When I sent him the original copy,
God.
For,
Why would you do that
for
to
an
him?
Expansion. And
He
he's
probably had, like, an
no.
aneurysm.
So we got down to 3,000. And
Good job.
That's the Warmind review.
Congratulations,
Good job.
buddy.
You had a lot of thoughts.
How long was your script?
My video script
Still had
that has
800?
to be 700 words.
Yeah,
the
no, that's
hottest-
why. That's why I was saying, how did that go?
Oh, I just axed tons of stuff, and I called out, and I'm like, please go read the full thing.
That's so hot. It's the
Yeah,
hottest
good.
thing to do.
Yeah.
Is like
Yeah.
you finish like I think I wrote 2,800 words about Assassin's Creed Origins. It was like, all right, now get 700 out of it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, why?
Yeah.
It's really hard
especially
to do.
I feel like I still made the points that people needed to hear in the video component.
Yeah.
But
See, I
they can
just-
read more detail.
I just leave it at like 800 or 900 words, and then I just talk really fast.
yeah.
I respect that. That's a smart strategy.
Don't. That's me getting under the line.
fine.
Dan gets real mad at that.
He does. He really does.
I asked for 700 words.
sorry,
you
Dan.
Gave me
You
740.
What are you working on right now, Jay?
Oh man, lots. So I'm on the Wiki team. If y'all don't know,
E3 Wiki
we're
is very
good.
helpful for the
the E3 Wiki. You can check out our huge list of all the games that we know are going to be there right now. Once E3 does hit, you can find all the games that do actually show up there, and then links to all these subsequent wikis that we then create for all those games. We're currently working on a bunch of cool stuff. State of Decay 2. So when you get in there, we'll have a bunch of help for
being
you.
run
I
by
think
Miranda, right?
Miranda's doing that one.
Oh, you guys are still working on the Fortnite one like crazy.
Still working on Fortnite. A lot of great Fortnite stuff. If you play, if you need some tips or help and stuff like that, or if you just want to find out where all the weekly challenges and stuff are, like all the what is it this week? Rubber duckies. Those are we have all the locations for those.
There's gold chests in PUBG now too.
Are there? Oh no.
There are?
Yeah, apparently
We'll
there's
get back
like
to you.
gold chests just like showed up in the world.
Oh, weird.
today.
I'm actually working on the new Miramar stuff for PUBG Mobile, which is super fun. And then I think, and we're still finishing up God of War because that game is massive.
yeah, it is pretty big.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know what I just thought about? In Red Dead Redemption 2, if you don't actually start quests and it's just like a guy that walks up to you and is like, "Hey partner, come help me do this thing." Like, how do you write the wiki for that?
I said this to the
Hang out by
guys
the
at
campfire.
Rockstar when I was there, and I was just like, "This is all super cool," and I'm really mad that it's not currently October 25th. But I am also horrified of writing this guide. Yeah,
Are you going to be on it, you think?
of course I'm going to be on it.
All right.
All right.
Sorry.
No. I mean, like this is probably going to be the first guide in a long, long time where everybody on the Wiki's team will have to work on it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like a Skyrim, Fallout 4.
Even those didn't require everybody.
Well, GTA 5.
Yeah.
Comparison.
I mean, sort of.
So
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
People are gonna want to watch. So.
I mean, it's just like there's so much to dive into. Like honestly, we talked about it for what 20, 25 minutes today, and like I could probably go for another hour.
Jesus.
But I won't.
I thought about it, but it was like we were
That'll be-
like,
that
we'll
will-
keep this episode short, and then we didn't.
Actually,
We're a
you know,
little
the
over an hour.
Back there, it's happening.
I know.
All right, what about you? What do you do?
I'm
what have you
hosting
been
the
up to?
Call of Duty live stream
that.
tomorrow morning.
Rad.
Which Miranda will also be on the post show for that after we learn some more about
It will
the
have already
game.
happened by the time this goes up, I think. So.
Will it? I don't know. Maybe. Either way, it'll still be up on the site, so you can check that out. And yeah, I've been playing State of Decay 2. Duggan and I streamed it earlier in the week, and that footage is all up as well. So I think that's it, everyone.
Twitters?
Twitters.
Oh, I'm US of JR.
I'm at Alanah. It's my name in the middle of Charizard.
Just my name, Brandin Tyrell.
Destin Legary.
See, you guys did it the smart way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I actually just want my last name. I just want Tyrell. But there's this like 17-year-old girl somewhere in the Midwest who just posts pictures of her frappuccinos the last time I saw. But I think she's gone quiet now. So.
Someone has at Alanah, and I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
Just having
we'll
at
see.
first name seems great. But all right. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Unlocked. We will be back next week. We'll see you then.
Toodles.
Bye.